Hello, and thank you for watching this regional forecast for the Canadian Prairie. I'm Andrew Pritchard, meteorologist with Nutrien Ag Solutions. While we're dealing with this cold air mass, we've been talking about it just endlessly for the last week or two, and I got some good news. We are going to begin a pattern change here as we head into the next half of this week, taking again this jet stream alignment that's featured something like this, a big ridge diving into a big trough. We've been kind of stuck in this pattern where we force a lot of air, warm air northward, bring a lot of cold air southward. I know I've drawn this very same drawing numerous times over the last 1 to 2 weeks, but again, beginning to break things up across the Pacific and starting to move this ridge eastward, starting to allow some of that warmth to spread not just in the Gulf of Alaska, but getting over here into parts of the Canadian Prairie. As we talk about the next 5 days, though, just pointing this out, the core of the very coldest air here, where it breaks the color bar with that white color, right here is where you'll find me in our office here in Champaign, Illinois, right in the heart of the coldest air right now as we head through the next few days. So we're in the thick of it. We got some light snow moving in as we head into the morning hours here across Illinois. Looking at precipitation across the prairie, though, we do have to talk about some light snow here over the next day or two across primarily southern and western Alberta. That's going to be from a storm system that moves here through here again over the next day and a half. But really across the entire prairie, looking at a dry week. We do have to talk about what the pattern change means as far as precipitation as we start getting into next week. But again, with this video, just mainly focusing on this week, and it is a dry week across the prairie. As we check in with the infrared satellite picture then, this is the storm system that's going to bring some precipitation to, again, primarily the southern half of Alberta here as we get into the next 24 to 48 hours. But really the picture being dominated by this major trough, this very deep trough diving in across the prairie into the Midwest of the United States, bringing this bitterly cold air mass into the region. As we wake up this morning, again, seeing some cloud cover here, this is going to be bringing that snow to the Midwest here, where we live. But again, focusing on the prairie, we'll be focusing on this disturbance now making its way across the Pacific into Western Canada as we wake up on Monday morning. The radar picture is quiet right now across the prairie, but again, we'll be watching for some snow to begin here across the southern half of Alberta as we get into the later parts of the day today. Temperatures, we're looking at Fahrenheit, but we can pick out where we are below freezing, and that would be where we are anywhere below 32 degrees. And right now, checking in with the picture here across North America, getting into parts of the U.S., essentially the entire map here below freezing, and that does include all the way down here to the Midwest of the United States, where we live down here in across Illinois. So bitterly cold air mass across the region right now, and one that's going to produce a little bit of light snow here across Alberta. We'll look at the precipitation forecast here as we head through the week. Beginning on Monday morning, taking it through the end of the day today, by the time we get to the evening into the early overnight, perhaps seeing some of the first snowflakes flying here across higher elevation portions of western Alberta, getting into the Peace region, but then snow really overspreading southern Alberta here, light snow as we get into Tuesday morning and then Tuesday afternoon. Again, a light snow falling across the region, perhaps lingering into the day on Wednesday, but really not talking about any significant impactful snow, not even anything like we saw over the last week or so, where we're 10 to 20 millimeters of snow fell across the region, really keeping things rather light. As we head through the rest of the week, we'll really just be watching this region here, parts of the northern provinces, northern Saskatchewan getting into northern and central Manitoba for the chance of some light snow here as we head through the day on Thursday, and then another storm system potentially tracking along and north of the prairie here as we head into Friday and Saturday. So as we time out the precipitation, it's late Monday into Tuesday, light snow across this region from parts of British Columbia into western and southern Alberta. And then as we get into Thursday and Friday, really kind of focusing on this region along and north of Highway 16 for the potential for some light snow as well. Looking at the snow accumulation forecast, again, we're looking at this in inches right now, but where we see the cutoff between the gray to the light blue colors, let me go ahead and get it back here to the end of this loop, which ends on Friday. If I can get the clicking to happen accurately right now, there we go. Bringing this to the end of the loop. Again, it's a really dry week. It's rather light. It's really, unless you find yourself here in far western and southern Alberta, where you got the potential for maybe 5 centimeters or less. Elsewhere across the prairie, not expecting much, if any, snow to fall over the next 5 days. You got to head along and north of Highway 16, again, for that potential for a light coating to maybe 5 centimeters of snow late in the week. Now, this is how we can kind of diagnose the jet stream pattern right now. Again, we've been really blocked up here across parts of the Pacific, leading to a pattern that's rather stuck with this trough across the eastern half of the country, which has, again, brought the very cold air mass here to the Canadian Prairie into the Midwest. And so to get this to end, to bring an end to this prolonged cold spell, we need to get things moving again across the Pacific. And we got good news here as we kind of just play the loop of the jet stream out through the end of the week. You see that the flow does become, it gets unjammed here as we begin the week and then really starts to begin moving. And we can see that because we got this wave pattern, that's not an arrow, this wave pattern that is kind of progressing from west to east. And what that means is we can warm up and you know, get out of this prolonged dry or prolonged cold spell, but it doesn't mean that we warm up and stay there either. It means that we kind of just get things moving again, get a progressive pattern here where we'll start fluctuating. We will see some warm ups here, especially as we get into the late part of this week. High temperatures perhaps getting into the double digits by the time we get to the weekend. But that also means that cold air could follow on the backside here as we just move into a progressive pattern with variety, which isn't that what we're all after here. So let's go ahead, we'll take a look at what the temperature forecast looks like then as we head through the week. This would be the temperature anomaly forecast. So beginning with a lot of blue and purple across the region, of course, that is our very anomalously cold air mass that's been parked over the region over the last 5 to 7 days. And we begin to take this into the middle part of the week. Now getting to Tuesday, you're watching the core of the coldest air mass now sinking off to the south and to the east, parking itself right over my head here in Illinois. But they can beginning to vacate the prairie. And now it's not going to be a rapid warm-up, nothing like that, but we do, as early as Wednesday, start to deal with maybe some warmth moving into parts of Alberta, flirting with temperatures getting warmer than average here, but it's a bit of a slow transition phase here with one more kind of wave of chilly air making its way east of the prairie before we really start to see any kind of large-scale progression here to the west and to the north of this warmer air mass. But by the time we get into the weekend, there we start to see those red colors beginning to dominate across the prairie. As again, the jet stream, we start to kind of move this ridge off to the east. Now we're still dealing with some colder temperatures down where I live again, here in the Midwest, parts of the eastern United States. But by the time we get to the late week, finally bringing some warm air into the prairie. Now again, this is not going to, I'm not promising warm air lingering well into next week. We're not talking about a prolonged flip to a warm pattern, not yet anyway. What I'm doing is just kind of, I'm letting you know we're flipping to a progressive pattern where we're not locked into a cold pattern and nothing else. We're getting some days of above average temperatures followed by cooler weather and then the potential for some precipitation as we get into next week as well. So taking a look at the total precipitation for the week, just focusing on Alberta. Again, the majority of this falls here as we get into Monday night into Tuesday in the form of maybe some light snow here across primarily far southern Alberta. Taking a look at the total snow accumulation forecast, again, much of this falling just over the next 48 hours and rather light in nature as you kind of look over here, looking at about 5 centimeters or less across the region, unless you head well into the high elevation areas. Your high temperatures for the day today, still dealing with this very cold air mass. High temps topping out in the -5 to -10 range. Overnight lows right around -8, -9 degrees across southern Alberta. Warmer as you head up towards central Alberta, perhaps near freezing. High temperatures on Tuesday, near freezing, so starting to warm up. A high near 0 degrees. Perhaps getting above freezing here to maybe 3, 4, or 5 degrees in far southern Alberta. Overnight lows on Tuesday night into Wednesday morning then. Sorry about that, popping that up on the screen. Overnight lows dropping to around 2 or 3 degrees below 0. And then high temperatures on Wednesday right around 2 degrees. As we shift off to the east, looking at Saskatchewan and Manitoba, looking at a rather dry week, perhaps far southern Saskatchewan here, picking up some of that very light snow as this disturbance on Monday night into Tuesday sneaks off to the south. Otherwise, you have to head north of Highway 16 here to pick up some of this light precipitation here Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Again, some of that falling in the form of some light snow. As you head north of Highway 16, perhaps picking up anywhere from a trace to 5 centimeters of snow through the end of the week. And then again, perhaps far southern Saskatchewan picking up 3 to 5 centimeters of snow late Monday night into Tuesday. The primary prairie corridor here between far southern Saskatchewan and Highway 16, likely looking at a dry week, maybe some very light snow showers here either on Tuesday or Thursday, but not looking at any accumulation across the region. High temperatures for the day today right around -10, a little bit warmer as you head off towards southwestern Saskatchewan. Overnight lows tonight dropping from -12 to -13 across southern Manitoba to -5 across southern Saskatchewan. High temperatures on Tuesday above freezing across southern Saskatchewan, just a few degrees below freezing elsewhere. Overnight Tuesday into Wednesday morning dropping once again into the -10 to -15 range across the prairie. Just slightly warmer as you head off to far southwestern Saskatchewan, only a degree or two below zero in that region. And then as we get to Wednesday, looking at high temperatures getting above freezing in southwestern Saskatchewan, still below freezing, -5 to -7 for the high temperature on Wednesday. And then again, the good news is we do start to warm up slowly, perhaps flirting with highs in the double digits by the time we get to the weekend. As always, Eric Snodgrass will have an in-depth look at the evolution of the next 1 to 2 weeks in our Monday morning ag forecast video, which will be posted to the site this morning. I will be back to talk about the Canadian Prairie on Wednesday morning. Have a great day and a wonderful start to your week.